Breaking, good or bad? Over the last several years, breaking has become a huge business, and it seems that everyone and their mother is doing breaks. I know that there are a lot of lonely, desperate single guys who haven't seen a woman in many, many years in the hobby, but come on, fellas.
Oh, hi, boys.
Are you that thirsty that if a woman says sports cards, you're willing to just empty your wallet for them?
Here's all the money to my name.
I want to be clear. I've done breaks myself, so I can see the appeal of breaking. But if I'm being honest, breaking is...
Sports show every Friday, hot take, where's the market, behind the scenes from the car shows to the streets. There's only one show, there's only one show I wanna watch, EDI Sports Show, every Friday.
Welcome back to EDI Sports Show. I'm your host, Doc Schwartz, and every Friday I post a new video of this show every single week. There are 4 segments to this show if you're new to the channel. 1 is a hot take, 2 is where's the market, 3 is behind the scenes, and 4 is your viewer comments at the end. And I love your comments, the good, the bad, and the ugly ones. So if you have an opinion, please put it down. I read them all. This week, we're going to actually talk about breaking because guess what? It's a part of the hobby, and that's what this show is all about. And you guys come to hear my real take, real opinion, and real honest advice. I'm not here to try to influence you at all. I'm here to just give you honesty, and you can take that for what it's worth. So this week, let's talk about breaking. This is a huge part of the hobby. Like, it has blown up over the last several years. So here's the question. Should you go in on breaks? What's the point of breaking? And can you actually make money if you buy into breaks? Those are the 3 top questions we're going to dive into in this week's episode. But before we do that, are you a card hoarder? Yes. Do you have way too many cards that you don't know what to do with? And what I mean is, do you have cards in your room? Do you have cards in the closet downstairs? As well as, do you have cards in your garage? If you have more cards than you even know that you have, you are a card hoarder. And so I want to invite you to join the Facebook group called Card Hoarder Nation, which is where you can start to get rid of your cards. If you are a dealer looking for collections, go to the Card Hoarder Nation group on Facebook and start talking to people who just have too many cards, they don't know what to do with them, and they want to unload them. This is how we can start to connect people to dealers. This is how we can start to connect people to other collectors. If you have too many cards that you don't even know how many cards you have. Have you ever bought the same card twice? That means you have way too many cards. So stop being a card hoarder. Join the Card Hoarder Nation Facebook group and get rid of some of the cards that you have. Now, let's get into this week's hot take, which is all about breaking. So here's the first question. What is breaking? So first of all, if you guys are not familiar, I'm going to get some props here. All right, so I'm going to bring them up. Let's do some props. So I don't have a wax box with me, but pretend this is a wax box. Now I know this is a set, but pretend this is a wax box. The modern day wax, 2024 Bowman Hobby costs $260. Here you go. You can see that price right there. So is that even worth it? Is that box worth $260? And the answer is no, it's not. It's overpriced. You're not getting what you paid for, and you're just throwing your money away. So should you ever buy a wax box at $260? And the answer is no. Don't do it. So let's take this as an example. So let's pretend this is 2024 Bowman and this costs $260. So that means you have to fork over $260 and you get this box. Okay, great. You get everything in the box. There's nothing in this box that's worth $260. So you just threw money away. But what a break does is it allows you to pick one team in this box, and you know how many teams there are. So you pick one team for less money and you get all the cards of that team in this box. Now, if you're going to break one box, it's a complete waste. So you need to have a break of at least 3 boxes to make it worth a break, because why would you pay anything more than $5 for a break of 1 box? And of course, that's not going to be worth it to the person who's breaking, because $5 times all the teams doesn't really make all that much money. But you really should not pay more than $5 for 1 team in 1 box. So where does breaking make sense? Well, breaking makes sense when you're starting to look at 3 boxes, 6 boxes, a half case, or even a full case. At that point, you have more of an opportunity to maybe get the cards that you want. But here's the problem. This is a gambling box, okay? And I know that you're kind of saying, wait a minute, no, it's a hobby box. No, it's not a hobby box. It's a gambling box. And you guys are addicted to dopamine. So what I want to do is I want to get you off the dopamine kick. I want to get you off the dopamine addiction. I want to get you guys clean. Stop doing this stuff. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down a list of all the cards that you want in that set. So let's say it's 2024 Bowman. Write down all the cards that you want. Then do some research. I know, you have to do homework when you come to this channel, but you guys want real honesty, you want real advice. So write down a list of all the players that you want in 2024 Bowman, and then research how much all of those cards cost. I guarantee, I promise you, that the cards that you want don't cost $260. Now, obviously, if you guys are going for the garbage, literal garbage, the stuff that they say is worth money, and I heard this on one of my comments, well, they make the wax boxes so expensive so that the cards that come out of them have to be worth more. I mean, are you really that silly? Like, seriously? It's not worth that much money. It doesn't matter how much the wax box costs. You could charge $4,000. The cards in this box are not worth $4,000. And anyone that pays $4,000 for any card in that box doesn't like money. You guys are communists, you hate money, and you want to give all your money to fanatics. That's fine. I'm okay with that. If you hate money, give it away, because you clearly don't want it anymore, and the stuff that you're buying isn't worth the money you're paying. So that's what you need to understand about money. That's what you need to understand economics. That's what you need to understand about the hobby. Just because someone bought it for a certain price doesn't mean it actually is worth that price. And I know that a lot of you just want to push back on me on that, but no, there's real market value. And you can't go based on the last sale to go, oh, well, it must be worth this. There's a sucker in every room. The question is, do you want to be the sucker, or do you want to actually pay for what cards are really worth? And that's the issue. That's why millions of cards sit on eBay every single day, because people think they're worth X. They're not. They're only worth Y, and no one's going to even look at your cards if you're not positioned at Y. So take your prices down to what it's really worth, and you'll start to see that your cards sell. My cards sold on eBay. I just didn't have enough listings on there, and I didn't want to deal with shipping and all the other nonsense that eBay goes through. And I don't want to deal with people that want to return cards. I want to just sell the cards and be done with cards. Like, I want the cards that I want to keep, and I don't want the cards that I don't want. But I don't want to be middleman with, well, now you got to do a return, now you got to do this. I'm not interested. Here's the point. Write down a list of all the cards that you want. Do the research, price them out. I promise you that most of the cards, you can get them all for less than $260. You don't need to buy this box. Now, here's where the interesting thing comes in. So I've done a break before. I did one break. I've done several, but one of them that I did was a Upper Deck Artifacts break. And it was a full case. Now, I want to be honest. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Ranger fan, so right there. So obviously, I did the Rangers in an Artifacts break. And I'm going to count to you how many hits that I got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits out of the whole case. 5 hits, that's it. So I paid $150 on the break. How much are all of these 5 hits worth? They're worth about $45. That's right, $45. So I paid $150. I got a $45 worth of hits. Who's doing the math now? Okay. Now, I did get other, because I asked, they didn't want to send the base cards, which I don't understand. I'm like, I paid for them. Send them to me. So anyway, they sent me all the base cards. So I got about 40 base cards, and they're worth about $1 each. Because it is artifacts, it's not the regular Upper Deck series, so each one is worth around $1 each. So that's $40 right there. So 45 plus 40, that's 85. Remember, I paid $150. So did I overpay? Yes. And if I listed out all of these cards, you know what it would probably cost me online on eBay? It would probably cost me about $60 to buy all of these cards. So I could have just saved the money, just went to eBay and bought them all. But here's my point. My point is that I was looking for specific cards and I thought maybe I could get lucky. And that's where you guys are. That's where you guys are. You're not going to get lucky. It's just not going to happen. You have to get off the dopamine kick. You have to get rid of the addiction. You're addicted. Get over it. Seriously. This is a hobby. Stop being a gambler. Start writing down the list of cards that you want and do the research and price them out. Now, here's my last take on this. Would I do a break again? And the answer is yes, I would, if the price is right. So here's my quick take on how much you should spend on a break. If you're going to do a break of one box, again, one hobby box, you should not pay more than $5 per team. End of story. And I know what you're saying. Okay, because I don't know my audience. So I already know the comments. But they charge more than that. But. Guess what, folks? I understand they charge more than that. And that's what you should take as a signal. I'm not going to pay that. Stop paying what they're charging. If no one buys it, guess what? They can't charge that anymore. You're the one that's keeping them in business. Stop doing that. It's your hobby, not theirs. You are in charge. It's your money. They want your money. So stop paying what they want you to pay and pay what it's worth. One box is $5 a team. If they want more than that, walk away. Walk away. Seriously, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get out of that box. Now, if it's a 3-box break, honestly, $20 to $25 per team is worth it. It's worth it. It's fun. It's $20, $25. It's not that big a deal. Will you get a hit? Maybe. You might get a hit, and therefore you'd be like, oh, you know what? I did pretty well. But it's only $20, $25. You're not really wasting money. It's fun. You can do it, and you have a great time. But now, what happens if you want to do a case? Now, here's the issue. If you're dealing with a case, you really have to be careful with what they're charging for these boxes. And this is the key. So there's product out there. So Fanatics is trying to basically rip you off. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but they're trying to rip you off. They think you're stupid, and I'm here to tell you that you're not. You're not stupid. You're going to understand their game. And Fanatics is going to go out of business because they don't want you to be in control. And I'm going to empower you. So Fanatics is driving up prices on Waxbox for no reason. Literally no reason. Because you guys are paying for it. So why would they lower the prices? So stop paying for Wax. First of all, stop paying for Wax. Do not buy another Waxbox for the next year. That's my advice. Don't buy another Waxbox for the entire year. And you'll see fanatics start sweating. And trust me, you want to see fanatics sweating. But here's the point. If they're charging $200, $300, $400, $500, $1,000 a box, that means one case of 20 boxes is anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000. That's nuts. I mean, nuts. So here's the point. If they want to charge $10,000 for a case, and you're like, well, they charge $10,000 for a case, I should pay $300 for a team for a whole case break. Here's my point. No, you shouldn't. What they're charging for the boxes is what they want retail. It doesn't mean what's in the box. And you want the product in the box, not the box. Like if you were going to buy a break and be like, look, I want the whole box, so I don't want to spend $20,000 on a full case. I just want one box. Well, then you could just buy a hobby box. And that's the problem, is there's a missing link here in the hobby. You want the cards in the box, and the cards in the box are not worth $20,000. It's like buying a car. The minute you drive the car off the lot, it's worth less money, depreciation. Well, the minute you buy a case and the minute you open the case, you've lost all your value. In fact, you've lost probably 90% of your value. Yeah, 90%. The minute you open a case, it's 90% worth less because there's nothing in the case. That's what you need to understand. There's nothing in the case. So one box is $5, 3-box break is $20, and a case break shouldn't be any more than $200. Now, here's the caveat, because I paid for all of these cards, and if you want, I'll show you. So here's the base, just because these are the ones that I pulled out. So, and I have two here. So that's a Zibanejad. That's the rookie Zach Jones with the, what's it called? Relic. Here's a Lafreniere with Relic. Then I got a Zibanejad with Relic. I got a Shesterkin Orange. And I got a Panarin Gold. So those are the hits for $150. Like I said, I could have gotten them for less, but I wanted to do what a break is, and I wanted to feel what it was like. So again, I did it. I'm okay with it. Did I lose money? Yeah, but it's not like I didn't break the bank. But you guys are breaking the bank. So I want you to not do that. So here's the point. Here's the caveat. You should not be spending $200. What I want you to do is make a list of all your cards, price them out, and I promise you probably would spend less than $200 if you just bought all the cards that you want. In fact, you probably get more cards than this for $200. You would get more cards than this for $200. Now, the problem for me is that I don't know, nobody has hockey where I live. So it's hard to go to a show and get hockey. But for most of you that are collecting baseball, football, and basketball, if you go to a card show and you just go to a dollar bin, you'll get most of these cards. And if you're picking out 30 cards and you go to the guy and say, I'll give you $20 for these 30 cards, well, you just did better than a break. You just did better than a break. And dealers who are not taking $20 for 30 cards out of your dollar bin, you're dumb. They're dollar cards. Where are you selling them? Get rid of them. Sell them. When I did a show, I was selling cards for 50 cents each in my dollar bin. But you had to buy multiples. I was basically, if you bought 10, it was $5. If you bought 20, it was $10. That was it. That's how easy it was. And people were like, okay, I'll go through. And I sold hundreds of cards in my dollar bin. The reason is because I wasn't selling them for $1. They're worth $1, but you're not going to pay $1. That's the point. So stop doing the breaks if you're overpaying. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do breaks. I'm just saying stop overpaying for breaks because you're not going to get the value back. And if you are a breaker, I'm sorry, but you have to give something else besides the break as value. So you need to have some kind of extra, something that makes it worth it to do a break with you. What's your differentiator? What makes you special? Why do I want to overpay cards for you? It doesn't matter. The entertainment value isn't enough to pay you what you're asking. So that's my take on breaks. Hopefully you agree. If you don't, put your comments down below. Now it's time for Where's the Market? In this week's Where's the Market, I thought it would be a good idea to actually look at wax box prices and kind of the disconnect between what the manufacturers charge and what the boxes are actually worth. And so if you want to understand the disconnect, basically the margin that they're charging you and basically ripping you off, then let's take a look. So here's the first piece. This is the 3 wax boxes from Dave & Adams. This is all basketball. So we're going to do 2023-24 Panini Origin, then Crown Royal, then Prism Basketball. So as you can see, the Origin Basketball Hobby Box is priced at $2.99, and Origins has 7 cards per box. 7 cards, folks. That's it. That's all they have in the box. So for 7 cards, you're spending $300. That's $42 a card. Do you know what that box is actually worth? Here's the answer. It's worth $140. So you're overpaying double. You're basically paying $150 for packaging. You're paying $150 for nothing. So if you buy that box, you're going to lose $150 off the top. So there's no point in buying that box. No point. Let's look at Crown Royale. So Crown Royale has 8 cards, and so that one is going for $600, which means that every card in the box, you're paying $75 per card in that box. You're not going to get that money back because this box is only worth $200. That's right. It's only worth $200. So you're overpaying $300 for this box. Now, here's the last one. Okay, this is the 24 Prism Fast Break. So there are 90 cards in this box. Now, I want to be clear, because this box has more cards, obviously more cards are dollar cards. More cards are dollar cards. This is the one with the base set. So if more cards are dollar cards, you know how much you're paying per card in this box. You're paying $5.83 per card in this box because they're charging you $524. You know what it's worth? $225. Again, 50% more than it's worth. You're getting ripped off. All right, but let's turn to football. All right, I got 3 boxes for you to look at right here. So the first one is Obsidian. The next one's going to be Immaculate. And then the third one's going to be Zenith. All right, so the first price on the Obsidian is $574.95. Obsidian has 7 cards per box. That's $82 a card, and it's worth, guess what, a whopping $350. I mean, folks, I don't know what else to tell you. That's what it's worth. They're charging you $575. It's only worth $350. You're getting ripped off. All right, next one, Immaculate, and this one's crazy. Crazy. All right, so this one only has 6 cards in the box. They're charging you $1,200. I don't know why. Again, you're getting charged way too much. So that is, it's $200 a card. I don't know what else to tell you. You know what the box is worth? $300. $300. Because if you get 1 card out of the box, the 1 card is worth $250. That's it. If you get 1 card out of 6. So how is the box worth $1,200? It just the math doesn't add up. All right, let's look at the last one, Zenith. And Zenith has 6 cards in the box. They're charging you $260. That's $43 a card. And guess what? How much this box is worth? $100. That's it. $100. So you're getting overpaid here. Another $160 on that box. And that's where's the market, folks. That's modern wax. It's not a matter of, oh, I think card prices are too much, and oh my God, wax prices are too much. No. Hear me out. I just said these boxes are worth a couple $100 each. It is what it is. They're worth more than what they used to be worth. When I bought wax back in the day, I could buy a whole box, 36 packs with 15 cards in a pack for $20, $25. So clearly the prices have gone up, but it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with value. It's got to do with value, not price. Value. The value is gone. That's what you need to know. There's no more value. So stop buying wax. Stop buying wax. Go buy your singles. You're going to be happier. All right. Now let's get to the third segment, behind the scenes. Okay, this week behind the scenes, I decided to do a little bit more than cards. So for those of you that have been following the channel, then you know that I'm a former journalist, was a sports reporter for the Star Ledger. I also was a news and political reporter for WRKL on radio. So here I actually have my press pass from the Boston Blazers right there. And that's 1996. Whoa. Okay, so that's a while ago. So it was the Boston Blazers against the Buffalo Bandits. That's the major indoor lacrosse league. And so I was the play-by-play announcer. Yeah, I used to call games for a professional lacrosse team way back in the day, back in Boston. And so that was my press pass for that. And then I wrote articles. So this is my press pass for the Binghamton Mets. And so field pass, there you go. So I got on the field because I was doing an article on a college classmate of mine that played for the Mets. He actually made it to the majors. He played for the Diamondbacks. He played for the Phillies. He played for the Brewers. He played for the Mets as well. He was a journeyman, and he's on SNY New York right now. His name is Nelson Figueroa. And so I wrote an article in a magazine on him, and so I had to go to the Binghamton Mets to do that article. So that's what I thought I would do behind the scenes. I know it's not very long, but I just figured, you know what, kind of give you guys a glimpse at sort of my background and why I like sports so much. So let's get to your viewer comment. If you love the viewer comments as much as I do, you are not going to want to miss these. I knew that I was going to get hate mail like you wouldn't believe when I took down Mike Trout. And all of you just kind of went, no, not Mike Trout. We love him. Okay, so here's the first comment from Dareth AC. The fact that he's considered by so many to be a Hall of Fame lock. Okay, folks, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what the baseball writers say. I don't care what you have to say. I'm looking at it objectively. I'm not in love with Mike Trout. I don't want to marry Mike Trout. I don't want to have his babies. Okay? I'm looking at it objectively. And he doesn't play any games. He doesn't have any at-bats. Somebody even brought that up. He's like, well, he has 2,500 less at-bats. Yes, because he's always hurt. Like, I don't know what you want, folks, but you shouldn't get credit for getting hurt. I think it's tragic. Look, it's what happened to Mattingly. He got hurt. That's what happened to David Wright. He got hurt. These guys get hurt. That's not my fault. This is called a sport. It's called a Hall of Fame. You should be the best player in the game, and he's not the best player in the game. So if he's halfway 3,000 hits after 14 seasons, it's insane. What if he never plays another game? Folks, you're not in reality, which is fine. You're not allowed to. It's sports. You're allowed to kind of fantasize and do like, oh my God, he's the greatest. He's not the greatest. He's not the greatest. He's not even the greatest of the last generation. You guys are just really like, and the backup quote from Jeff Jones was, he has more hits than Ralph Kiner, Hank Greenberg, and Jackie Robinson. I'm sorry. I'll take all three of those guys before Mike Trout. Absolutely. I'll take Ralph Kiner, I'll take Hank Greenberg, and I'll definitely take Jackie Robinson before I'll take Mike Trout. Jackie Robinson was a way better baseball player, and I never saw Robinson play, I just saw highlights. But I know that he was way more athletic than Mike Trout. I'm not saying that Mike Trout is a horrible baseball player, and you guys seem to go overboard like, oh, he's not a Hall of Famer, therefore he's horrible. No, he's in the top 50 of baseball players today. Top 50. He's probably top 10. But he's not the best player. I would take Aaron Judge. Unfortunately, Aaron Judge also has the same problem. He gets hurt. But there are other players that I would rather have. I showed you the stats, and a lot of you, we'll get to these other comments. So let's get to comment number 2, because again, the hate mail was crazy. So here's comment number 2 from Bob D6617. If I could pick any player to play center field, starting a team, it's Mays or Trout. Mays or Trout? Willie Mays or Trout? Like, you understand what you're, like, Willie Mays is up here. Trout, he's not gonna make 15 years. Willie Mays was a Hall of Famer for 20 seasons. I mean, you guys I showed you the Mickey Mantle stats. Like, Mickey Mantle is so much better than Mike Trout. And yet you guys you're in a fantasy. You're used to horrible baseball players. That's the problem. We have not had a good baseball player in so long that you're like, oh my God, he's the greatest. I'm telling you right now, Ohtani's probably better than Trout. Ohtani is better than Trout. So, I mean, are you guys going to argue with that? I mean, Ohtani's better. What do you want me to do? I'm not saying that Trout's not good, but literally, I would play him twice a week. If I was the general manager, I would say, Mike Trout's allowed to play 2 games a week, end of story, for the whole season, just so we can actually get to September, because he can't make it. That's not saying that's anything bad to him. His body cannot handle it. I mean, what else do you want me to do? That's reality. I have to speak truth and reality. You guys just don't like truth. All right, let's get to the next comment. This is the last one. This is from Boardsy, okay? And Boardsy says, do you honest to God? All right, do you honest to God have any idea what career WAR means or measures? Oh my God, folks. Like, you literally don't understand stats. I don't know, like, unless you took a stats class in college, you don't understand stats. You don't know stats. You don't understand stats. You can manipulate stats in any way you want, and WAR is a manipulation of numbers. Complete manipulation. Wins above replacement should actually mean something. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean anything. What's Derek Jeter's WAR? What's Mickey Mantle's WAR? What was Mariano Rivera's WAR? I'm just telling you right now, like, you guys don't seem to understand that you can't have a player with an 86 WAR when the team itself doesn't win 86 games. I mean, there's something wrong with the stat, okay? You can't, how do you even calculate 86 WAR when the team he plays for doesn't win 86 games? You're not understanding the numbers. You are believing the hype. Again, I don't know who his agent is, but if it's Scott Boras, I mean, Boras did a great job. The sports agent created this stat because you can't explain it. Oh, he has an 86 WAR. He's the greatest player in the world. And you're like, but the Angels don't make the playoffs. They had Ohtani and Trout on the same team, and they don't make the playoffs. Forget about winning 90 games. Again, if he's at 86 WAR, and what was Ohtani's WAR? I mean, they should be making the playoffs every year, and that they don't. And why is that? Because WAR is a made-up stat. Guys, I understand what you want to say, so just say the truth. You love Trout, and I'm not here to bash your love of Trout. I'm not here to bash the fans of Trout. I'm saying that you love a player that's in decline, and you love a player that's not that good anymore. When he started, yeah, of course, his first 3 seasons were unreal, But I even went over, he shouldn't even won the MVPs. He won 3 MVPs. Only one was legit. Only one out of the 3 were legit. There were other 2 times Mookie Betts should have won one. Alex Bregman probably should have won it, or definitely Altuve. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Especially since Altuve was on Houston and they went to the postseason and they went and won the World Series. Whether they cheated or not, it doesn't matter at this point. They won the World Series, whereas Mike Trout is not the MVP of the league. Yeah, he's the MVP of his team, but his team's not very good. And the MVP is supposed to be for baseball. Like, again, you guys don't seem to have any history behind you. And that's the problem, is that the MVP award should actually mean something. It shouldn't be a popularity contest. And the Hall of Fame shouldn't be a popularity contest. But it is. And I understand that. I'm saying that right now. I understand that the Hall of Fame has nothing to do with stats, has nothing to do with the greatest players in the game, has nothing to do with that anymore. It's all about who do you love the most. Because the Hall of Fame, no one goes to the Hall of Fame. It is an irrelevant thing at this point. So unless they put Mike Trout in, you're not going to go. And unless they put Ohtani in, you're not going to go. And they need to put these players in because otherwise you're not going to go. They should honestly try to, Ichiro needs to be in, and Barry Bonds needs to be in, and Pete Rose needs to be in, because it literally doesn't mean anything anymore. And the Hall of Fame is irrelevant in baseball because they let anybody in who's a popular player. And that's the way it goes. Fred McGriff actually deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, which is why I was glad that I did the stats. He deserves to be there. Mike Trout doesn't deserve to be there, but he'll get in because he's a very popular player. And I'm not knocking your fandom. Get it straight. I'm not knocking your fandom. I'm looking at the stats, and his stats are not that good. That's just the way it goes. And if you're comparing him to all the other players in baseball, yeah, that says something. Baseball for 10 years, again, until they fixed the rules a couple years ago, baseball for 10 years sucked. You saw Mike Trout didn't have any stolen bases. Altuve led the league with 50 stolen bases. 50. I mean, Ricky Anderson had 50 by the end of the first month. I mean, that's what I'm saying is baseball killed its sport. They had 4 guys standing on one side of the infield. This was the worst sport in the entire world for 1 full decade. So Mike Trout played in that era. It's the way it goes. They killed baseball. They killed Mike Trout's career. It would have been nice if they had these rules in when Mike Trout started, because then you would actually see how good he was. But I mean, seriously, like it's nuts. They ruined his batting average. They ruined his offensive production. He probably would have a better batting average if he played with these rules. But that's the point, is that he didn't play with these rules. He played with the horrible rules, and that's what happens, is you have to play in your era. So, okay, so is he the greatest in that era? Sure, but who cares? I get it. You guys are fans. You love Mike Trout more than you love your own mother. I get it. I'm not trying to crap on your fandom. Because I'm telling you, the numbers are not good. And you're going to see over the next decade, you're going to see players who are going to crush Mike Trout's numbers. They're going to make Mike Trout's numbers look horrible. And you're going to go, well, what if Mike Trout could have played in this era? Yeah, and that's the problem with the injuries, is that we're not going to see Mike Trout play for the next 10 years. He's lucky if he can eke it out another 3 years. So his career is pretty much over. He already has a degenerative back issue. Again, my heart goes out to Mike Trout. I am not Stephen A. Smith, who is a literal moron. Okay, so I'm not here to trash Mike Trout, but I'm here to tell you the truth based on stats, based on legacy, based on reality. Mike Trout is not that good in the history of the game. Unfortunately, is he a good guy? Absolutely. Is he a great player to follow? Absolutely. Should you buy his jersey? Absolutely. Should you buy his card? Absolutely. All of the yeses. Yes, 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 yes. But he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Will he get in? Of course he will. Because if they don't put him in, you guys won't go to the fame, and then you don't care. And that's the story. This is all about marketing. This is all about fandom. This is all about selling tickets. And the only people that sell tickets are the guys that are in the cultural icon. And his stats aren't that good. And WAR is a made-up stat. WAR is a made-up stat. It doesn't mean anything. Literally doesn't mean anything, because obviously the Angels don't even make the playoffs. So it means nothing. So if you put Mike Trout on another team, he still would do the same thing. He'd still get hurt. He'd still not be there. And you can't have an 86 WAR if you don't play. You can't have an 86 WAR if you don't play. That should be calculated into the WAR that you don't play. If you miss games, your WAR should go down. If you miss games, your WAR should go down. That means that the stat is made up. There you go. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I hope that my rant at the end didn't upset anyone. I know I'm going to get hate mail. I know. It is what it is. That's why I love this show. Anyway, I'll see you next Friday. This is Doc Schwartz saying have a great weekend.
There's only one show. There's only one show I wanna watch. EDI Sports Show every Friday. From interviews and card news to the sports behind the scenes. Only one show covers the deeds. EDI Sports Show. There's only one show. There's only